that's what we're going to talk about when we talk about the change in the house and Richard Morris Hunt, because he's the man who transforms this to this over a period of 10 years of time and doubles the size of the house, all through the 1870s, a little bit of the 1880s. So if we look at this, it's about 34 rooms, very, very stark. It's full river granite, very Italian in style, sat on 40 acres of land. It did go down to the sea. And the local builder was a man named Seth Bradford, and his houses pretty much all look like this, very, very stark. The man who wanted the house built is the first Wetmore that we're going to talk about. Now, the Wetmores are old colonial family. They actually came over from Wales in the 1600s. Our Wetmore that we're going to talk about, who built the house, his name is William Shepherd Wetmore. And he makes a fortune in the China trade. That's the money behind this. He had married a woman who was about 25 years younger than he was. Her name was Anstis Derby Roger. She was from another old China trade family in Salem. And they very quickly had 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. The daughter's born about 1848, and pretty much after that, the marriage is over. When he comes to Newport, he comes with the 3 children. Supports her the rest of her life, but they never divorce. So if we look at this original house, where you're standing is the original entrance. You see that? Faces the street. You actually would buy it when you came in. Quite a while they had the 2 entrances. Hunt puts on that. Closed this off, made it a little sitting area. The architect was John Russell Pope. That statue is called the Dying Gaul. It's on loan to us from the Redwood Library. It's a copy by Aiken. This is one of the rooms Hunt doesn't change a lot. You're standing on the original 1852 marble floor. You see right in back of you, we're over the furnace. Doesn't change this. It's this very, very dark wood in here. Did you notice the room you were waiting in, how light that wood was? Very, very light oak. That's part of the changes that happens with Hunt. Keeps this in here. This is what he changes. Puts in this beautiful ceiling. This is pretty much the only thing that he does in this room, but it's pretty glorious. And initially, this room would have had all family portraits. None of these people have anything to do with the family, and we'll talk about that later. So any questions before we move on?
Stenciled wood?
It's painted, it's all hand painted. Yeah, all hand painted. So let's move on to the first. This is not the Gilded Age. And this is pretty good for 1852. Well, what is this all about? William Shepherd Wetmore and the Wetmores in general are very active in New York society. In addition to this, they always have a house in the city. The last Wetmore who lived here used to spend every winter in New York. She liked the opera, and every summer here. So they were very, very much a part of New York society, always. And Mrs. Astor, who was kind of the leader of the pack before all this, she deemed only 400 families worthy to be in society, and the Astors were, and the Wetmores were part of it. So in the 1840s, New York is putting on ballrooms in all their houses. William Shepherd Wetmore wants this house to reflect everything that New York has. Initially, it was designed as a sitting room. 1853, it was made into a ballroom. French, you see. Louis XV, this room has never been touched. Hunt obviously liked it. He never changed this room. About 7 different shades of blue-gray. We have kind of gilt going up. The interior decorator is a man called Leon Marcotte. He's from Paris. Does a lot of those rooms. And The chandeliers would have been amazing for 1852, not only for the size that they got here, but they're gas. We're bringing gas into the house to light the house. Now we've had it out on the street. Now it's in the house. And if we look over here, imagine getting these mirrors here in 1852 by train from Pennsylvania. So obviously something is happening to this mirror that's not happening to this. So it has something to do with the sun. And what's happening is the mercury is coming through. 1852, that's how they did mirrors. So most of the time this room is a sitting area. But this house has had 3 really grand parties. And the first one was huge, all over the New York Times. And our William Shepherd Wetmore, the man who builds the house, has a very good friend named George Peabody. Brilliant investment banker. He trains J.P. Morgan. In honor of his best friend, he names his second son, George Peabody. And George is visiting America from England. So William Shepherd Wetmore plans a champagne picnic. And there's 45 yachts anchored in the harbor. Remember, New York's a big part of this family. There's about 5 tents outside, 5 orchestras. He imports the chef from Washington, D.C., and attending this party are 3,000 people. See, it's outside. And the second big party is when George, the son, is elected governor of the state of Rhode Island. He's absolutely thrilled. He invites the whole state, and they come too. So remember, we had 40 acres of land at that time. We're now down to about 12. So most of the time, this is a sitting room. The major things that went on in this house were outside. Any questions? Okay, let's look at this room.
Sorry.
It is pretty, isn't it? Nice French salon. And it's very light. Yeah. Why don't you all move forward so you can see the room, because I'm going to talk about the room. It's plastered on. So look at the difference in this room. It looks almost modern.